Hello, the Metal Maniac back again, and welcome to a very special video. This is a new series called Metal Talk, and this is going to be each episode of this is an ongoing series where me and my good friend animeworlord
Hey, what's up, everybody?
are going to talk about our favorite bands, and because it is, Halloween tomorrow, as of recording this, we thought we would talk about the band Halloween. Now, how this is going to work, we'll be going through their entire main discography. We'll only be including, one live album. We won't be including any EPs or demos or stuff like that. We will do for certain bands on certain videos, but for this band, we're just doing mostly their main album, except for the one live album.
Yep.
So, before we start, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. So, for those who didn't know, my name is animeworlord. As you all probably know, I do a bunch of pop culture stuff on my channel. Like, I do anime, I do manga, I do video games, and I'm really excited to be joining my good friend, the Metal Maniac here. He's been in several of my videos. He's been in many of my otaku vlogs, and now I am collaborating with him for the first time. So now he's just basically paying it forward.
Yep. This also, if you guys notice, this is a different area. We're filming in a different room because I don't have any extra chairs or anything in my bedroom, so we're just sitting on the couch here in this room. Anyway.
Basically don't want to suffocate. Oh my god, this is our first episode fail! Why are you suffocating? I couldn't keep a straight face, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a bit of a goofball. Anyway.
A bit or a lot?
A lot. Anyway, so, I guess, we could just start off, both telling how we, both, got introduced to this band.
So, I don't really have a clear memory of how I got introduced to this band, but I think the Metal Maniac told me that Halloween is a band that just simply resides in Michigan. I wish to hell they would come to Chicago, because if you guys have heard Halloween's music, I highly, highly recommend it. If you want to make your Halloween a little bit more metal and a little bit more spooktacular, then just put any of their songs on your playlist.
Oh yeah. So, for me, I don't exactly remember how I first discovered them. What I do remember, though, is the first thing I saw out of any of their songs, I guess it was somehow on my YouTube recommended thing, like on the side thing. There was the live promo video of the song Nightmares from Victims of the Night. And I immediately fell in love with the band after watching that video. And then I just, eventually, watched some more promo videos, some music videos and stuff like that they had for some of their songs, and then listened to all their albums. Yeah. So, let's see. So Halloween started up in 1983 as a band called Bitch, and then shortly after, I think 84-ish, they changed their name to Halloween. And that's 1 year later, they of course released their... Oh, that's the wrong one. Is it
I think it'd be kind of funny to me if they still kept their name Bitch, and next time you hear Bitch, you'd say, "Oh my god, that's a good bitch." You could easily do any kind of adult joke with that band name whatsoever.
Yeah, but honestly, it's kind of more fitting considering that the lyrical content they decided to do was, of course, about Halloween and stuff like that.
Right,
it
right.
Kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in 1985, only about 83 they released. They changed their name. So not too long after, about a year or so after, they finally released their debut album, Don't Meddle with Evil.
Which I've listened to in depth, and that album, whoo-wee! If I find that either on vinyl or CD, I'm just gonna straight up buy it.
Yeah, so they initially released it on cassette, only on cassette, and then when they finally got onto a record label, because the cassette was, they released it themselves, but the cassette was independent, but then they finally released the vinyl version. This is not the original one. This is a re-release, but the official first release on vinyl. I believe it was on Motor City Metal Records. I don't know.
You're probably right. I think it does sound familiar.
That's what it says on here, and I'm pretty sure that's the same company. Now, Pure
Yeah.
Steel Records, I think, was the collaborator who did the re-release. But I think
Right.
It says Motor City Records in here, so but that does sound familiar. So I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when they released it, it was pretty much an instant hit, especially when they released their not demo single. What song was the single again? Was it Scared? No, it was Trick or Treat. So Trick or Treat was the single, and I believe the B-side probably... I can't remember exactly which song the B-side was, but I think it might have been either Scared to Death or Busted. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look that up. But they released the single, and then, of course, they released this soon after. Now, there were 2 music videos. The music video for where is it on here? Trick or Treat, of course, and then the music video to What a Nice Place. Now, both are probably the most viewed videos of their entire entire discography. They don't have many music videos, and most of the videos that you'll see on YouTube is live footage, and stuff like that. But yeah, out of everyone that I've talked to, even those people that, especially people that don't really know this band very well, they at least know of the music videos and the song Trick or Treat. Yeah, so the singles became pretty much an instant hit. The album became a pretty much instant hit, and it immediately became a classic within the realm of heavy metal.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys want a really good music video watch, please watch the music video for What a Nice Place. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
The drummer was playing the drums with bones, and it kind of gives you the little 80s or late 70s vibes, and it's just wonderful. It's just a chef's kiss masterpiece. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, dude, Bill White is still my favorite drummer they ever had. I don't know why he left. Two of the 4 members all left at one point. I don't know why they did, but it's a shame because dude, the original drummer, dude, if you saw the music video, he literally was just it was like a human drum machine. He was going
yeah, exactly.
On drums,
very few drummers once in a blue moon do come along. There's Keith Moon from The Who. If you guys have seen how crazy Keith Moon can play the drums, he was pretty much known as the octopus of The Who. He was all over the place. And the Metal Maniac over here recently introduced me to Dead from Mayhem playing the drums. I'm like, holy shit!
Oh yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, sorry we're sidetracking here, but just as a little side tangent, I guess. If you don't know, look up Mayhem. What was the thing again? Mayhem, the Henhouse recordings, but the actual video that they did of their rehearsal. There's a part in there where actually Dead does get behind the drum kit and just goes ham on the drums, and it's really cool too because it's very surprising that this guy's well known for his vocals. You wouldn't think he would be an excellent drummer as well, but holy shit, he's amazing on drums.
Yeah, he's on fire. Call the fire marshal boy, call the fire marshals boys because I feel the flames over here. Woo-hoo!
But yeah. Anyways, side tangent aside, I guess. Bill White was the original drummer in this lineup. Also, you got was it Rick Craig in this lineup?
I think it was Rick Craig.
Or was it? Wait, hold on. Where is the? No, hold on. I have to actually open this up because I don't think I don't think the thing is on the back. It's only the track listing. Hold on.
Just surprising me that violins are starting to become a thing now again. because I think
they've pretty much been a thing again since like 2010. I think.
Yeah, I think that's when they started revolutionizing vinyls again.
Revitalizing?
Wait,
Is that the word you're looking for?
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, I think that might be the word.
Yeah, not revolutionizing, because revolutionizing is something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick Craig was on guitar and backing vocals on this original lineup. Of course, Bill White on drums, like I said. What's the other? I always forget the names of this first lineup. Let's see. George Neal on bass and backing vocals, and of course, Brian Thomas on lead vocals. Now, Brian Thomas originally started out in you could call it the classic era, their 80s stuff, as sort of he had sort of like a glam metal edge to his vocals, kind of like a rock / glam metal edge, where like it was like glam metal vocals, but also with a hint of Alice Cooper in there as well.
Oh yeah, like I just said to myself, that kind of does sound a little bit like Alice Cooper.
With the more not with the high pitched stuff he did,
right?
But like with the mid range to like rougher.
Yeah.
Especially later on too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Brian Thomas is such an underrated vocalist. And yeah, the entire lineup is amazing. Anyway, so the album is one of those albums that it's just in a league of its own. Now, to say that this is their only good album is stupid, but there's a lot of people out there who praise this album but ignore the rest of their discography.
If you ignore the rest of their discography, like this goes for any band. If you just give one album praise, then you're just basically milking it dry. And the more you start milking it dry, it's going to start to... What's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, that's right. Escape from your mind, because...
Why did I think you were going to say Escape from New York?
Escape from New York. Oh my god. But yeah, if you keep on milking one album and just basically say, oh my god, this is the GOAT or the greatest thing of all time, and not give any other albums a chance, then that honestly gives music fans a really bad name. I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, are there bands where they only have one good album? Yes, of course.
Yes.
But to make to have your own opinion about something, you at least need to go through rest of the band's discography and kind of look through it. But I feel like sometimes people just like see one album as, people will say this is a great album, and I don't feel like I need to listen to the rest of their discography, and that's when they sort of make snap judgments.
Right.
Yes. But yeah, this album is a classic, though. Not my favorite of their albums. We'll get to my favorite a little bit later on in the video, but it's probably my second favorite. So like I said with the glam metal style of vocals, early on during their 80s lineup, they did have a sort of a heavy metal meets glam metal sort of sound and style. And look too, and they had a glam metal look too. If you look on the back there, they have it's in black and white, but they have the big hair, the face paint, just classic glam metal sort of stuff. Now, it's not like super over flamboyant glam metal or anything. This is glam metal, kind of a darker edge to it. Like there's a lot of like color palettes where it's like glam metal usually is like bright, poppy colors. This is sort of like a dark, dingy color. So it's like glam metal, but sort of like dark glam, I guess you could call it.
Dark glam has a good ring to it, not gonna lie to you, man.
Yeah, and I've heard that term pop up from time to time when people discuss this band, and I think it fits, I think that category, that name for that category fits very, very well with the early stuff. Anyway, so let's talk about some songs on here. Now we're not going to go through every little song on here because I did that during my review, but we're going to talk about probably some of the absolute highlights on here. First, I want to talk about Busted, which starts off the album, and it is just a wild ride. I love how throughout the album with certain songs they actually put in like sound effects. Yeah, sure, it's I guess you could say it's cheesy, but it works very well with the vibe on this album, where it's like it's not to be taken super seriously. It's just a fun listen, and I think it works very, very well. Where the sound effect is like breaking glass, and then like the drum roll comes in, and then the song kicks in.
If you ever have Don't Meddle with Evil on CD, blast that shit in your car.
Yeah, I actually sold the CD just so to have enough money to buy more albums. Also, I'm trying to limit my CD a collection, mainly because it took up so much space. But yeah, I'm.
But I take it off his hands because I am Mr. Collector.
Yeah, I mean, what I mostly just collect vinyl and cassette now, but I do still have some CDs that I'm not gonna get rid of because they're either they have sentimental value to me, or or they're super hard to find and I don't want to have to rebuy them if I can't find the vinyl versions. But anyway, another side tangent. Anyway, so yeah, this song "Busted" is an absolutely fantastic song. Scared to Death, really good. I think there was a live video. It wasn't a music video. It was like it was a fan recorded video, which was Scared to Death is really good. But let's talk about the ballad of the album, Justice for All.
Oh my god, dude. Yes, a million times, yes.
So, what do you think of this song?
Oh my god, like, where do I even begin? Like, this is one of the most grandiose songs I've ever heard. It's like right up there with one of the most underrated Judas Priest songs, Red, White, and Blue, and Heroes of Our Lives by Dragon Force, etc., etc., etc. Like, if you want to make a grandiose playlist, then definitely put that song at your top 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a really epic ballad with just really great emotion behind it. Now, I'm very picky when it comes to ballads. To me, a ballad could be either really good or just overly excessively like bad, kind of cheesy. But this is a ballad. Oh, sorry, I'm not pointing to the right album. There we go. This ballad though is amazing, and I think it's one of their best. They would have a couple ballads throughout their discography, but this one and the ballad on their Victims of the Night album, which again I'll get to that album later on, but are probably their 2 best ballads. Yeah, I absolutely love this song.
To me, I feel like if you want to make a really good ballad, you have to have a lot of good heart, soul, and passion behind it.
Yeah.
Because if you
Oh, sorry, you go first.
It's all right, man. If you do all 3 of those mixtures, you get yourself a nice masterpiece at the end. See, there's the soup.
Yeah. And then I think a really important part to like a really good ballad is like you have to get into the headspace of the mood of the song. Like
that's another good ingredient.
Like for example, like
I should upgrade it to 4.
For example, like I'd say a really good example is "Close to You" by Judas Priest.
Yeah,
that one during the Ripper era. Where, like, if you hear that, and even if you see the live version, the video of the live version, like, Ripper is clearly getting into the headspace of, like, the person that the song, like, in the song, Close to You is a ballad about, like, this person who recently lost their loved one, and their significant other, and they're so distraught, people are telling them, it's okay, but you can move on and stuff like that, but this person's, like, so devastated and knows, like, is just so traumatized by the experience and like just so heartbroken, and you feel it in Ripper's performance. Like he's really getting into the headspace of the character of the song, and it just he's able to get in the headspace and embody that character for that song and just make the song even more heartfelt, even more believable. So that's one of the main things, that really makes a good ballad is if you're just able to 100% get into the headspace of the song and just pour your true emotion into it.
Absolutely, 100%. I remember when me and the Metal Maniac were FaceTiming one night because him and I, here's another side tangent, guys. I'm sorry, this is, the first episode, but still though. One night when I was FaceTiming with the Metal Maniac, I introduced him to the ending to Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, and his reaction was like, oh my god, dude, that's a really good ballad.
Yeah, I mean, even TV shows can have good ballads. Although I think it's kind of hard, even more hard for that because it's always a fast paced thing. You have to get right to the next scene, so they even have to like make it like they make full songs for some TV shows, but I guess they cut it down. But yeah, whether it be TV show, movie, or album, ballads are very difficult to get right sometimes. But yeah, Halloween does this in spades. Like it's just a really great ballad. All right. Next up is I'd say my second favorite song on the entire album, "Trick or Treat," which is one of the two songs that had the music videos to it.
Yeah.
Another one that has a really cheesy but really fun sound effect. That I think actually came from the music video. It's like the sound effects of like footsteps and like a front door bell ringing, and then kids saying "trick or treat," and then like a door creaking up, and then the song starts.
Would you consider Thriller's opening or door opening sound effect and footsteps approaching a ballad?
No, ballads aren't like that. Ballads are the type of song that he's still getting in. He's still I just introduced him to what ballads are. So
yeah,
but
so don't mind me, guys. Like
ballads are basically those slow emotional burns, slow burn emotional songs. Like what you described before, like Red, White, and not Red, White. I'd say that's more of an anthem, but like Close to You, Justice for All, and something like what's another good example? I don't know. I can't think of another example at the moment, but stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, they're the slow burn, more very like heartfelt, more emotional type songs.
All right, I understand. Like you were saying, I'm still kind of slowly but surely getting into ballads.
Anyway, yeah, Trick or Treat is just a really fast paced song, really great drum rhythm. Oh, remember when we were talking about the drummer Bill White and just
yeah.
This is his shining moment on this album. There's this a constant like fast-paced, just rhythmic drum thing throughout this entire song that he literally is a human drum machine. I mean, that like drum rhythm throughout the song is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone else does a great job as well. Ryan Thomas, great as always, the vocals, and everyone else does a good job. It's just a really fun song.
It is a really fun song. It's a really fun song to vibe to. It's a really fun song to play on Halloween, which is tomorrow. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just a fantastic song. You have anything to add to it?
I had something, but then it just completely left my brain.
All right, let's skip over the Wicked Witch for this one, and let's go to the title track, "Don't Meddle with Evil." Like I said, we're not gonna talk about every single song and every single album, but we're gonna talk pretty much, I guess, through the highlights because we want to get through the entire discography. We don't want to make this video like 3 hours long or anything like that.
Right, we don't want to make the first episode like the length of a 3-hour podcast or what have you.
But yeah, so next up,
first episode of Metal Talks, 3 hours.
Oh boy, yeah. I'm a patient person, but I don't think even I have the patience to sit through something that's 3 hours, at least not in one sitting.
Dude, I would agree with you on that one 100%. I'm a patient person too, guys, but if something is 3 hours long, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I would have to, like, keep on getting up and taking breaks. Like, not every so often, but just, like, chunks with the podcast or a video at a time.
Yeah. Okay. So... Oh yeah, Don't Meddle with Evil. So this one is probably the most popular and well-known song from this band. And I can see why. Now, is it single material? Maybe, but I think this works better as just a title track and not really a single. And also it's a really cool closing track to side one. If you have it on if you have the album on vinyl, if you don't, it's just a CD. Then it's just another song within the track listing. But as for a vinyl version, it's a really good closer to side one. And it has a really cool, iconic riff, great solo, and of course, Brian Thomas shines on this song too. Um, and yeah, it's just a very iconic song, and no wonder why it's become their most famous song. Have anything to say about it?
Oh yeah, Don't Meddle with Evil. Once again, I say you should blast that if you have it on CD or if you have it on vinyl. Just basically blast it in your home, but make sure that you live in a house and not in an apartment because you don't want the neighbors like pounding on your door. Or maybe if somebody has the symbiote and says, "Hey, can you turn your music down, please? I've had a really hard time." Whatever. If you guys get that reference, I'll high five y'all.
Even though it's been a while, it's been what, a year, 2 years since the first Venom movie came out. He's still geeking over it. He's still geeking out over it.
You're darn right I am. The 4 years down the road, and I'm still geeking out about Venom.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great song. Also, something really cool about it is like they put like a backwards message in the beginning of it. And,
Oh yeah.
And if you spin it around backwards, it just says, "Our message is very clear. Don't meddle with evil."
Didn't we do that one time when we hung out together?
Yeah, I think that was like the time before. But like when I first got the vinyl release of it. And yeah, it's just a really cool like sort of Easter egg in the album.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they put like one or two more throughout in one other album or something like that. But yeah, it's just a really cool add-on to the song.
Yeah.
Now, the last of the 3 songs I want to talk about of this album. The first of the last. Next song, I guess. Words no word good.
Words no word good, and my brain don't do brain stuff.
Phone no do phone guy stuff. If you guys get that reference, good for you. Anyway.
Wasn't that a Markiplier quote in Five Nights at Freddy's 4?
Yes,
That's what I thought, yeah.
Anyway. What a Nice Place is the second song that had a music video to it. And the music video itself is, I like it, but I also don't like it. I like the actual music video portion of it, but the song is really only about like 3 minutes long, 3-ish minutes long, but like the music video is 6 minutes long, because they put like a mini movie in there at the beginning before the actual music video starts, and it's just very long, very drawn out, and the little there's like 2 characters in it that only appear for like less than a minute. And like oh my god, the acting is horrible.
Yeah,
I wish they would really just cut to where the music video actually truly begins, when when the woman enters the haunted house, and then it cuts then like throughout the rest of the music video, it cuts in between the sets and the music video, and then like Halloween playing the song live on stage and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Hell, I acted when I was in college, and I know good and well, like, that acting was not up to par whatsoever.
It was like the same level of acting as Troll 2.
Oh god, don't even get me started on that, Metal Maybe.
Oh
don't
my
even remind me of that
god! They're gonna eat her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god! Okay, guys, after this video, do yourself a favor and look up Troll 2, the Oh My God Troll 2 multi-language. And it's even funnier when it's in like different languages. It's just hilarious. But anyway,
I understand that we're getting off on a lot of side tangents, but that's how our friendship operates. We're just about good positive vibes, good laughs, and pop culture references.
Pretty much.
But we hope you guys are enjoying ourselves nonetheless.
Yeah. Also, it's also a little bit chaotic because this is the first time doing this kind of video, so we're still trying to figure things out.
Right. What he said.
Anyway. But yeah, What a Nice Place is just a great song. Also, it has probably the highest vocal pitch Brian Thomas ever did in his entire career. Now, it's not like Rob Halford kind of vocal pitch, but it is that higher glam metal kind of vocal pitch that you hear. And it's really cool because not only that, but you do get a hint of like the vocal style he would have later on during the 90s onwards, or like there's this one part where the song briefly like stops after it builds up, and then instead of the high pitch you hear at the beginning, it's sort of this sort of raspy hiss, sort of like this like high raspy guttural thing. It's very quick. It's very quick. It's don't pay attention, you miss it. But like it's not throughout the rest of their early stuff, but it's definitely later on. Brian Thomas would switch from the more glam metal side of his vocals to the more like rough and gruff, sort of more, I guess, typical heavy metal, 90s heavy metal style of vocals, I guess. But this is just sort of like a hint of like what, unintentional, mind you, but sort of a unintentional hint of what will come later on in their career in terms of Brian Thomas's style, vocal style change. But yeah, it's just a really cool song. I also like the beginning and the build up to it when like the riff comes on and it's da na na na, and like Brian Thomas like gets out of this like coffin. It's like on stage, Brian Thomas gets out of the coffin and like throws this like explosive powder every time the final riff hits the thing. When like the da na da na, and at the very end of that riff, like it pauses and then like twice he like throws this like explosive powder, and then it like the song bursts to life after that. But yeah, just a really great song. And yeah, no wonder why it has a music video, because it was made for that. Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that in a good way. Like, it was like so good that it had to have a music video. Do you have anything to add to it before we move on?
Personally, I agree with everything that you just said there, bro. Without a doubt. Like, I agree with everything that this guy said. Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll disagree, and sometimes we'll collide.
Oh yeah. Let's see, and then I think the last song we'll talk about from this album is "She's a Teaser." Oh, that was the B-side to "Trick or Treat." I'm pretty sure. Now that I remember, if I remember correctly, I think that was the B-side. But yeah, "She's a Teaser" is a really great song, kind of different from most of the other songs on the album. It's sort of a slightly heavier sort of guitar tone and riff. And very slightly heavier, but it has a more like not really serious, but it's not more like, I guess, the typical Halloween, and I mean Halloween by not the holiday, but the band, not the more typical 80s classic era Halloween type song. It's sort of something like you would hear. It seems very similar to something you'd hear off of "I'm the Night" by Pantera.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
It's glammy, but at the same time, it has a slight edge to it, where it's a slightly heavier than most glam metal stuff, and has this really cool like great sort of like riff to it.
Yeah, it does. One of the best riffs I've ever heard.
And yeah, I just love it. But yeah, just a really great song, and I'm surprised this one didn't get a music video for it.
I know, like, that song should have gotten a music video, hands down. I think a lot of people who are fans of not only just Halloween, but metal in general, would just enjoy that music video.
Oh, yeah.
Halloween, any of the members of Halloween, if you're watching this video, please provide.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think they would, considering that it's years and years later, and I guess a lot of times bands don't go back and do music videos for their older songs, unless it's like an anniversary thing or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like they're promoting their tour or something.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows, maybe. I don't know. This band's kind of unpredictable. Yeah. So, also something really cool about their early stuff is the live stage setup. Like, if you look at their videos, it's super elaborate. Like, there's cobwebs everywhere. There's skulls all about. This dark, dim lighting with, different color changing lights. Bill White's drum kit has like a bunch of skulls on it and stuff like that. It's just decked out in awesome Halloween decor. I really like Brian Thomas's early face paint. Like, he moved away from it. Like, later on he'd do more simplistic stuff where it's just like the black lines down like the right here, kind of like similar to Alice Cooper's face paint, where it's literally just like a little bit of white makeup with the black lines down the bottom half of the eyelids. But early on, he did Brian Thomas did a little bit more elaborate sort of face paint, where it's like it had that, but it was like a lot. It was like white, and it had like on his like cheeks, he had like different like Halloween-esque sort of pictures, like spiders and cobwebs and like jack o' lanterns and stuff like that, skulls.
If you ask me, he kind of looked like a voodoo witch doctor.
Yeah. I really like that image because like it especially worked with the music videos too. It just he had this really cool like vibe about him.
Yeah, he did.
And that was also back when he like had the glam middle hair, and
Yes.
like he dyed it like stark white, like a ghost
Ooh.
kinda. Yeah, just a really cool stage setup back in the day, and just really cool sort of overall just the way the band looked. And I believe at one point, I don't remember if it was Brian Thomas or one of the other guitarists. At one point, one of them had like a really cool looking guitar that had like a spiderweb pattern on the front of it.
Oh yeah, that was a really cool.
And then the
guitar.
bass player had like the Halloween logo on it with like the mascot. The mascot. I don't know if this mascot has a name or not, but and then the bass player would like the original bass player would actually play his bass upside down at times. That's something that I almost forgot to mention. Like the bass player was very unique, and that he was able to play the bass upside down. Like he would flip it upside down and then play it like like it was right side up, like like you just did it with ease.
How many blaze? What the hell is a blaze? How many bass players do you know that can play that instrument upside down?
I
Not
know,
many.
right? Anyway, 1986 rolled around, and they were getting ready to record their second album. And they recorded, I believe, quite a few songs, but I can't remember why. But the band was starting to, fracture a bit. And then I believe not too long after, two of the four members quit or were fired. I don't remember exactly what happened, but like two of the band members left for one reason or another, and like the band kind of was basically went silent for a while. And they had to like shelf the album they were working on, and then and the album's Victims of the Night, by the way. But anyway, so then around the late 80s, I believe, the band got back together. Or the two members that got back together were Brian Thomas and who was the other one of the original members? George Neal, I believe, was the one that if I remember correctly, was the other band member that got back together. And the other two band members of the original four didn't. So they brought in I don't know. I don't have their actual. Like, I don't have their second album. I don't have No One Gets Out. So I don't know if it's the exact same lineup as later on. But I think it was the same lineup as later on. But at least from what I remember, I think it might have been because it was Brian Thomas, George Neal, Tommy Allen. Wait, does it say Tommy Allen or was it? No, is that a T or a D? Donnie Allen? Sorry, the font on this is pretty weird. Oh yeah, I think it's Donnie Allen.
I think you might be right. It definitely looks like Donnie Allen.
And then Rob Burng? I don't know. But yeah, they had half of a different lineup, half of the same lineup. And they did something that's just extremely baffling. So they actually originally were hyping up Victims of the Night, as they're recording it and stuff like that, but then the band broke up. But when the band got back together and was active again during the late 80s or / early 90s, for whatever reason, they decided to shelf the, at that time, almost completed album of Victims of the Night and start a new album from scratch. And so, and at that point in time, they already had changed their style. They sort of throughout the glam metal edge they had, and was like basically they went with the more, I guess, standard straight up heavy metal style, 90s heavy metal, I guess I should say, because there's a difference between 90s heavy metal and 80s heavy metal. But and then they released No One Gets Out, which is an absolute mess. And I believe that was like
Ugh.
91, I think. Hold on, let me look it up. But yeah, No One Gets Out is just a rushed mess.
That it is. Because if you're writing music or making a movie, you do not want to rush things, because the moment you start rushing things, it all goes to shit.
Yeah, and it was kind of a jarring change because considering that the only thing that most people have heard of the band up until then was their single and their first album, which was that glam metal slash 80s heavy metal sort of fusion style, and like people were I just imagine people were just like confused about, at least especially the people who didn't constantly go to their live shows or didn't see their live shows that often, so didn't see the natural progression of the music. But I really think people might have been shocked or something to hear like, is this really the same band?
Yeah, right? I know, I thought that when I first heard that song, I'm like, wait, is this the same band or something else?
Yeah, but yeah, not Victor's Design. No One Gets Out. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on, I'm trying to look up to see when that album was released. 1991. Okay, it was the early 90s. So it was released in 91, and they already had changed their sound by then. And they got rid of glam metal style and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just a very, very rushed album. And again, it was very dumb of them, in my opinion, to just discard something they already were working on in favor of making something from scratch, which obviously they were, it very much seems so, like they were rushed to get that album together, instead of already releasing something that they had.
Like I said before, I said it once and I'll say it again because I don't want to sound like a broken record here. Once something is rushed, it goes to shit.
Yeah. But really the only kind of memorable song from that album is actually not even a song by them. It's actually a cover song, "Crawl to the Altar," by the band Herberus. I really don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a cover song, and that's really the only memorable song from that. Other than that, it's just very, very forgettable.
All right, folks, I'm going to let the Metal Maniac keep on talking. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, it's just a very, very rushed and put together album. Now, as for Victims of the Night, it took a while for them to actually get it out there for some reason. Because it wasn't until 1997 when they actually finally released Victims of the Night. And yeah, this is the album that was supposed to be their second album until the band broke up, and things went weird and stuff, like whatever happened. But yeah, this was recorded and I think finished as well in 1986, like I think late 1986 or something like that. But again, wasn't released until it was recorded in 1986, but not released till 1997. And this is another jarring difference because the album that ended up being their second album, of course, had the completely different style of music that they were doing at the time in the 90s. Whereas this one, even though it came out in 97, it was another jarring difference because this went back. This was basically recorded during their early era, back when they had the fusion style of heavy metal and glam metal, and it does definitely have that feel of a classic Halloween album from their early period. Yeah, okay, so hold on. So I just started talking about Victims of the Night and how it was supposed to be their second album, but ended up being their third.
Okay.
Anyway, so first off, what are your thoughts on this album?
I think it's a pretty good album.
Yeah.
It's definitely a must listen For anybody who's a beginner of metal, that's one of the many albums I recommend to any beginners. Um, I think it has a really good creepy vibe to it, and I just love the heart, soul, and passion put into it, not the thoughts.
Um, yeah. So this is actually my favorite Halloween album. Now although this is also when Halloween started to do a very annoying thing with their albums and putting very boring and unnecessary intro tracks
Oh
on
yeah,
their
I
albums.
know what you're referring to.
Because this one has the song, not track, but the intro track. This one's just called Intro. And why is it 1 minute and 28 seconds long?
That's one hell of an intro.
Yeah, it's just very unnecessary and very boring. Now,
That's basically the same length as an anime intro.
yeah, I mean this was very unnecessary, and the fact that it's even a minute long is just weird. But honestly, there's still some great songs on here that really make it a fantastic album. So let's talk about some of this. Welcome.
Oh yeah,
The
that's a
true
good
intro. The true intro. This is not an intro track, but this would have been a great first song. If the intro wasn't there, this would have been a great album opener.
If you guys want to get into the actual magic, then I suggest that you skip the song intro and then go on to the actual song.
Yes. And Welcome. This song should have started the album. It just goes right into it with the absolute just chaotic nature. Like, it's just a very fast paced but also very fun song. Like, the one thing that I really love about their early stuff is how fun it is, and they didn't try to take themselves seriously. I mean, they never really took themselves super seriously, but they never tried to be anything more than just a fun Halloween, in terms of holiday, a themed band that just had sort of like a slightly sort of more darker glam metal edge to them. And it was basically what I consider, how the band, my ideal era of the band. And yeah, this is a song very much from their classic period. This is an album very much from their classic period. Um, but yeah, it's just a fun song. Victims of the Night is also a great song. It's not really the ballad of the album, but it is a slower song. What do you think of it?
Victims of the Night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It may not be like one of those grandiose ballads that we mentioned before, but it's a nice, good, slow paced song. If you want something slow and easy to just basically binge, then
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Yeah, it's a great title track. What's another one? No Place, the ballad of the album, and my favorite ballad they've ever done.
Personally, I agree with that.
I mean, it's a song that encapsulates the feeling of homesickness. When you're out on a very long trip, far, far away from your home for a very long time, and you just miss home. You miss the people, you miss the places, you miss everything about it, and you just really can't wait to get back.
Absolutely, because like the sense of urgency to get back after being far from home for so long, you just can't wait to see your family, your friends, anybody who's going to give you a warm welcome once you step off that plane or whatever mode of transportation that you may take.
Right, and I think this song was meant to be sort of the band's feeling about homesickness during touring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because just the way it is, and it really gives off the feeling of that, and it's a perfect ballad and a perfect song overall, and yeah, it's definitely one of the absolute best off of this album. Another song I want to talk about on here is the song Rest in Peace.
Ooh,
Probably the most
yes.
fast-paced song on the entire album. One of the things I really love about this song is integrated into the riff are these like really cool mini guitar solos that go throughout the main riff. It's just a very cool thing that I don't think I've ever heard before in any other metal song or any other song in general. And it's just really, really cool. And the actual main solo itself is amazing.
Yeah.
This is a great, fast-paced headbanger. What do you think about it?
I also love headbangers myself because every single time, like when either a metal song goes hardcore or a rock song goes hardcore, you just can't help but headbang yourself, dude. Oh my god, I almost lost my glasses.
Don't lose those.
Uh,
But yeah, it's just a fantastic song. Let's see, what's another one I want? Oh, so oh yeah, so second to last song I want to talk about from this album is the song that pretty much got me into the band in the first place, Nightmares.
oh,
Now, I
the
already
goat.
talked. I already talked about my introduction to this band and the live promo video is the first thing I ever heard from this band,
As have I.
and the studio version is just as good. I mean, I do kind of slightly prefer that live video, but the studio version is still really, really good. I love how they actually put, they still have the sort of like the sound effects thing that's a carryover from their first album. Or
Right.
like throughout, like you hear this little like chime, not chime, but like it's like I don't know, this like weird sort of like sound effect. It's subtle, it's in the background, but it's like it's laced into the audio mix, where it's like um I really don't know how to describe it. It's like a kind of a chime, kind of not.
It's basically one of those treasures that's very indescribable.
Yeah, it's a really interesting sound effect, and if you listen to the song and listen carefully, you'll know what I'm talking about. Again, it's kind of subtle, a more subtle thing. It's not like it doesn't really stand out too much, but like if you're really paying attention and you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great song with a fantastic riff, great solo, and it just has a really cool sort of eerie atmosphere to it.
Yeah, buddy.
And then the last song I want to talk about on this album is "Children of the Witches." Is
One of my personal
and I've
favorites.
heard the live version from '85, and
Yes.
oh my god, it's just so good. It's super short though. It's like 2 minutes long, almost 3 minutes, I guess. Like it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds, but even though it's super short, it's super memorable.
Absolutely. Like, they
Um,
packed a lot of living into 2 minutes and 45 seconds because I feel like if they added 15 more seconds, like, it still would have been just as great, don't get me wrong, but, like, sometimes things can come in small packages. That's what they say. Good
Yeah.
things come in small packages. There we go. I almost messed up the phrasing.
And yeah, also it has probably my second or third favorite guitar solo on this album.
Oh my god, the guitar solo. Don't even get me started on the guitar solo. Oh, the guitar solo is so good, you guys. Please just listen to it. It is just absolutely phenomenal. You will literally melt when you hear that guitar solo. Hell, I know I did.
Yeah, but yeah, and I love this album. Although it's not perfect, I think the instrumental "Angel" is pretty boring. And then the very last song, Revelations 23, The Dream. But everything else, and the intro too, but everything else on here is fantastic. Also, look at that album art. It's nothing too fancy, but it does its job at sort of conveying the atmosphere of the album very, very well. Oh, sorry, the glare from the lamp. But yeah, it's just like a pumpkin patch covered in mist and like the dead of night, and then you have like what I think are like ruins of an abandoned building or something in the background.
Honestly, yeah, it kind of looks like a factory to me.
Um, and then also you get the name of the album there, sort of like looks like it's like splattered in blood and stuff like that.
It does.
You can't really see it on the camera because of the lighting, but it's in like bright red, like crimson, like not crimson. Crimson's like dark red, but it's like scarlet red. There we go. That's the shade I'm thinking of. And then on the back there, really cool sort of like miniature work with like the track listing being on the gravestone, and then the mascot of the band up top there, and then in the very background you can see a miniature set. It's like a castle there, and then you got a blood red moon. Really the only thing I don't like about this is their like more modernish logo. So, like you can see, it's like really dull. Although I do like the pumpkin, but or the jack-o'-lantern face, but the logo itself is not that good. Honestly, I really wish they would have stayed with the original logo from the first album that Brian Thomas himself actually originally drew. Just a lot more cool, a lot more elaborate and unique.
How about that? Another metal artist that I know, because first I know Dead from Mayhem did art, and now I know Brian Thomas does art. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always great. Like anytime like when a band member draws the logo, it's always like it adds like a very personal touch to it instead of just being
does.
like some corporate thing. When the band members themselves actually have a hand in creating the logo, it always turns out they always turn out with something very unique and just very iconic. But yeah, really cool. And then, let's see. It was quite a few years until their next full-length album. It wasn't until 2006, I believe, that the other one came out. Was it 2006? Hold on. It was... honestly, I don't really remember. Was it 2000? I think it might have been 2006. Hold on. I have the page here. Hold on. It was... let's see, it was... Horrorfire was... yes, 2006. So we jumped from 1997 to 2006. They did release a couple of demos and like an EP before, but in terms of their first full length,
So 9 years.
not first full length, but their first full length in a while.
Mm-hmm. So basically, it took them 9 years. You said 1997 and then 2006.
Yeah.
Dang, man.
And then this is really their first album to really have that sort of like solidified, changed sound. Like, yeah, sure, you heard it on No One Gets Out, but this is where they sort of like really make it that this is going to be their sound from now on. They're not going to go back to the glam metal stuff, which is kind of a shame because that's my favorite era of the band. But yeah, this one definitely, even though it's the 2000s, it still has a little bit of that 90s heavy metal kind of sound and style to it, especially with quite a few of these songs. But yeah, Horrorfire also still continues with that really badly done CGI logo. Love the artwork though, very simplistic but very 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 good. Anyway, so this is an album that is both great and shit. So the first half of this album, the first 10 songs are all fantastic. Well, maybe except for the intro track, I Am. But everything else on the first side is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have even more songs. So this album is long, like really, really long. 19 tracks on this album. Nearly 20 songs. And it's an album that starts off good but gets ruined by over ambition.
Yeah, pretty much.
And no one wants to sit through. Like, I get there's some like concept albums that have 20 or more songs, and I get that, but for an album like this, it doesn't need almost 20 songs. Like, if they had cut it down to just the first 10 songs, dude, they would still have a full-length album, enough songs and enough run time to still count it as a full-length album. And I think it would have been probably one of their absolute best. But yeah, as is, it's just kind of a little bit of a waste of potential because, again, the first half is fantastic. Well, then they had to like chuck in all these like filler tracks just to lengthen the runtime and stuff like that to make it to 19 songs.
Right.
Anyway, so there's a few songs on here that I do want to talk about though. First up, let's put this into two sections. So the first couple of songs I want to talk about are three songs that were originally from their classic era, but didn't get released until this album. So the first one is Halloween Night, which I believe was on one of their early demos originally. Was that even on the live album? No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
But we'll get to the live album a little bit later. But yeah. So, Halloween Night was on one of their early demos. I don't think it ever got a lot of attention as some of the other songs. But yeah, Halloween Night is a fantastic song. It's just it even though it's a re-recorded version, all these songs are re-recorded. Even though they existed prior, they did re-record the vocals and instrumentation for this new lineup. But the material itself, like the lyrics and the way they play the instruments, would have been similar to how it was back in the original versions of these songs with the original lineup. Yeah, it's just a really, really great song, and just another classic Halloween song.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say about this one?
What song was it again?
Halloween Night.
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah, I feel like that song is one of the best classics for the band Halloween that I've ever heard. I would definitely put that on a playlist that I would call Spooktacular Hits. And if you are hosting a Halloween party with your family or your friends, then just put it on there.
Oh yeah. The next one I want to talk about is probably my second favorite song of their entire career, and that's the song Candles.
Oh,
that's another one. That's another one that was basically a one that existed before during their classic era. During live shows, actually. Like, I have a live album. Again, the live album I'll talk about last because I just want to get through their main stuff first. But, yeah, in '85, they actually played the song quite a few times live. Yeah, it's another early song that didn't get officially released on, standard, on the full-length album until this one. It is just a great song. It sort of has a power metal vibe, kind of.
I noticed that when I first listened to that, it does have a power metal vibe.
Yeah,
I'm just this is power metal?
And with the riffing and stuff like that, and just the epic nature, and then the vocals, too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the vocals are definitely, sort of, back to the more glam metal-esque vocals, but also kind of still in the realm of they still have a little bit of gruffness. Like the vocals, throughout the rest of the album. But it's just a great song, very epic. The vocals are fantastic, the riff and the solo.
Mm-hmm.
Just an absolutely fantastic song. And
this is once again a Chef's Kiss song.
And it actually starts off side B. So,
yeah, that's a great way to start off side B. A really powerful way to start off side B.
Right, go on.
I forgot what else I was going to say. Oh, yeah, that's right. A very powerful way to start off side B and just get into the other tracks. And once again, I say that song is Chef's Kiss. Candles, Chef's Kiss.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic song. And definitely something that I wish, we heard with the original lineup recording it. But, I mean, we technically did with the live album, I guess, but I really wish there was like a studio version with the original lineup that recorded this. But it is what it is, and this version is still fantastic. The other one I want to talk about, I don't think this one was a leftover of the early stuff, but it definitely sounds like it could have been. And that's the song. Where is it on here? Nobody's Home.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a great song. I think it was based off of like the Amityville horror stuff, like the actual real life version where the guy like murders his entire family.
Right.
But, because I think that's what the song's based off of, and I think I remember reading that it might. I think it was, but yeah, it's just a really really great epic song, which should have been the album closer.
I know, like, it had all the right ingredients to be an album closer, but no. Let's put it on side B.
But yeah, and again, if it was just the side A and side B, and this was the album closer instead of the song that's actually would have been the album closer if it was, because the next song is The Rage and then it goes into side C and side D. But yeah, this song very much is fitting as an album closer, yet they don't use it as an album closer for some weird reason.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love the fact that it has like this really cool. It is a different solo than you're used to. Like it's very quick, very brief, but it fits with the pacing of the song. But yeah, and it just has a really cool atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Sounded like I was high there for a second. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm too high. You're too high. What are you smoking?
Weed.
Anyway. The Crush is a great song. It's one of the songs that was meant for this album. Is one of the newer songs at the time. Just a really great, super heavy song. And yeah, well, I preferred their musical style early on. This is still a great song from this era of the band, from this later era of the band. Just a really great. The Crush has a really great crushing riff.
I see what you did there.
And it's just a great song. It's just very furious in its nature, and I love it.
Metal songs and dad jokes.
Yeah.
Good combo.
You have anything to say about it?
I haven't heard that song in a while, so I don't really have anything too specific to say, but when I listen to it again, I will definitely form an opinion.
All right. And then the other one I want to talk about is The Seer.
Oh.
Which comes right after Candles.
Yes.
And it's just a great song. I love the lead-in from the ending of Candles to the beginning of Seer, where it's like just like fade out of the song Candles, but like you hear something in the background, and then you hear voices, and it gets louder and louder, and it's like, I see you, and it goes straight into the song Seer.
Yeah.
That seamless transition from one song to the next that I don't think they ever like truly able to master as well as they do with these two songs. It's just really great, and the song itself is fantastic, very eerie, very sort of like ominous.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that the sound or the phrasing "I see you" gets louder and louder and louder, you get those horror movie vibes of someone who's like right behind you, and then he or she is a master trickster, but in reality, they're right in front of you or right in behind you.
Yeah, just a fantastic song.
Kind of sounds like a mythical creature that I know, or a legendary creature. Oh, that's right, a tiqui.
A what?
A tiqui. So basically, they are creatures in the Philippines. They have the nicknames Wak Walker and Aswang, and every single time when you hear their call, if it's faintly or far away, that means they're really, really closer.
Isn't the Aswang? Wasn't it that one with like? Wasn't it like the vampire that like hops?
I think you're thinking of something else.
Was it? Wait, shit. I know that word from somewhere. Was it? It was that, or was it the one that was like a vampire, but it was just like the torso?
That's what I'm thinking of.
The Aswang, yeah, the Aswang was just a flying torso.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Another side tangent, guys.
Exactly. But yeah, so just another fantastic song. What else? So yeah, this album, even though it has its flaws, the first half is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely still worth picking up this album and listening to just for the first half alone, because just great.
And always remember, metalheads, there's no such thing as perfection.
True. Although there are some albums that have no bad songs, but um, uh, unfortunately, Halloween doesn't. I mean, I guess Don't Meddle with Evil doesn't have technically any really bad songs. I guess the last song, Fight the Beast, is slightly weaker, but it's still a great song. But anyway, so this album came out, was released, and then for quite a long time, even more so than the Wait for This, their next album, which I don't actually own, came out in 2012, and that album was Territory.
Try
And
saying that 5 times fast.
exactly, another pun, kind of like Horror Fire.
Right.
And that album, well, it is underwhelming to say the least.
Yeah.
The band sounds tired. Brian Thomas sounds tired. And just an overall uninspired sort of. I guess they're trying to rehash the fame and glory of their first album, but it just doesn't work because the instrumentation is different, the musical style's different. It's that newer style.
I never thought it was possible for a metal album to put me to sleep, but that one definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and there's a lot of promotional stuff leading up to that release, and it was so hyped up, and then, yeah, it's just not that good of an album. It's not terrible. It's not an absolute dumpster fire like, No One Gets Out, but it's still just a very boring, uninspired, and tired sounding album.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, yeah, I don't really have anything much to say about that other than what I said. But after that, nothing. We have since gotten nothing from this band. No other album, no other demos, no EPs. Yet apparently they're still active. And there are definitely footage of them playing live shows, especially from this year.
Will there be other albums? Only time will tell.
Yeah, I don't know why it's taken so long. Again, it's been 2012 since we got an album from them,
and we're in 2022, so 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but there's that one footage of that live show they did recently, and oddly enough, Brian Thomas sounds great. I don't know if he did some if he just had a bunch of rest or he maybe did some vocal warm-ups before that show, but he sounds a lot better than he did on the 2012 album on Territory.
Sounds like he did improve himself. I think he might have had some vocal warm-ups, or maybe he was just basically practicing in his own time, and then when he was finally ready, he was just ready to blow the crowd's minds or just wow them.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely sounds a lot better, because I was worried after hearing Territory. I thought his voice was just ruined or something, but
yeah, I thought he cracked his vocal cords. I'm like, oh god, that does not sound good, dude.
And then when I think he did his high vocal pitch once on one song on that, and it sounded horrible.
Yeah, it kind of sounded like nails on a chalkboard or scraping your silverware on it. Ugh. Yeah. Just talking about that gives me the willies. I do not want to finish that. Ugh.
But yeah, I'm just glad that the band's still active and that Brian Thomas actually sounds really good still. I guess I don't know what it was on that album. Maybe he was just having a bad day during recording. I'm not
Probably
sure.
So.
But yeah. Hopefully they release an album sometime soon, because it's been 10. Yeah, like you said, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a whole decade.
Yeah. The last thing I do want to talk about, though, is their live album. Now, this is actually a bootleg. They never officially released a live album, but this is really the only way you could get this audio. This one is called Tales from the Crypt, radio broadcast live from Harpo's Detroit, February 18th, 1985. And it has some classic songs on here and some songs that were never released anywhere else. You get some previously unreleased songs, such as The Right to Rock, Bitten by Fear, Tonight I'm Yours, To Love Again, Cry Out, what's some other ones? Rats and Rock Dogs, and You Can't Kill the Strong. But then you get some classic stuff from Victims of the Night and Don't Meddle with Evil, with the songs What a Nice Place, Children of the Witches, Victims of the Night, Don't Meddle with Evil, To Fight the Beast, Scared to Death, Candles, Tales from the Crypt, Rest in Peace, Justice for All, and Trick or Treat. This has some really. This is a mixed bag though. Like some of the songs that were previously unreleased are just kind of meh, and I can kind of understand why they weren't really released on any albums because they're just eh. Although what was it? You Can't Kill the Strong's a pretty good sort of balladish type song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the live versions of the classic songs are really really good. Especially Trick or Treat and Children of the Witches. But yeah, just a really great live album. That unfortunately they never released an official version, but yeah, still really good for being a bootleg.
Absolutely.
All right, so that was their discography and our thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this video?
Well, I just basically want to say that, well, I don't have any final closing thoughts on any of their albums, but I gotta say this was a whole lot of fun. I look forward to doing future episodes with you, man. And for anybody who is watching, we all hope that you guys have a wonderful and safe Halloween. And if you want something to rock out to this Halloween season, Halloween is a very good Halloween treat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is just a fantastic band that's just kind of had a lot of misfortunes over their career, from like band breakups to shit on stage not working, from electricity problems on stage. But despite all of their setbacks, they've released some absolutely fantastic material. Again, Don't Meddle with Evil, Victims of the Night, the first half of this album, and some live stuff. Yeah, just a really great band that's kind of gets overlooked just because they don't really tour outside of their home city of Detroit. Yeah, just a fantastic band, and of course, just something really fitting to listen to during the holiday of Halloween.
Something spooktacular.
Exactly. So I guess that wraps up the first episode of Metal Talk.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Happy Halloween from the Metal Maniac and I.
See ya.